Point 1. The constant complainer. They drain your spirit and poison your mind. Imagine this. You wake up on a beautiful morning. The sun is shining, the birds are singing, and for a moment you feel peace in your heart. Then, you meet a certain person, maybe a neighbor, maybe a relative, and within 5 minutes, all of your joy has been sucked out of the air. Why? Because every word that comes from their mouth is a complaint. They complain about the weather, about the government, about their health, about the food, about their family. Nothing is ever good enough, and before you realize it, you're carrying their negativity on your shoulders like a heavy stone. This is the constant complainer. Why complainers are so dangerous in old age. When you are over 60, your emotional and mental health become just as important as your physical health. Stress and negativity raise your blood pressure, disrupt your sleep, weaken your immune system, and even shorten your lifespan. Studies in psychology show that listening to constant complaints rewires your brain to see the world in the same negative way. It's like second-hand smoke. You may not be the one smoking, but being around it poisons you all the same. For seniors, who may already struggle with feelings of loneliness or health concerns, being surrounded by constant complaining doesn't just waste time, it steals years of life, happiness, and hope. Real-life example, let me share the story of Mrs. Dorothy, 76. Dorothy was a kind-hearted woman who had a longtime friend, June, but June was a chronic complainer. Every time they met for tea, June would complain, "This tea is too weak. My back hurts worse than anyone else's. Young people today are useless." Dorothy wanted to be polite, so she listened quietly for years. But she noticed something. After every meeting, she felt drained. Her chest felt heavy, her mood sank, and she found herself complaining more too. One day her grandson said, "Grandma, you always seem sad after seeing Aunt June." That was Dorothy's wake-up call. She realized kindness did not mean tolerating poison. She slowly reduced her time with June, and instead spent afternoons with another friend who loved gardening and laughter. Her health improved, her energy returned, and she said, "I learned that being kind to myself was more important than being polite to someone who drained my soul." Why seniors struggle to say no. Many older adults feel guilty cutting off complainers. You think, "But I've known them for years. They'll be lonely without me. It's rude to walk away." How to protect yourself without guilt. Set boundaries, limit your time. If a phone call drags you into complaints, politely end it. "I have to rest now, I'll talk later." Redirect the conversation. When they complain, ask, "What's one good thing that happened to you today?" If they refuse to shift, don't argue, just disengage. Choose joyful company. Replace complainers with people who share stories, laughter, or even silence without negativity. Your peace depends on who surrounds you. Protect your energy. Remember, your time is precious. You don't owe unlimited listening to anyone. The big lesson. In old age, protecting your peace is more valuable than pleasing people. Constant complainers don't want solutions, they want an audience. And the longer you give them your ear, the more they pull you into their darkness. But once you step away, you will feel lighter. You will notice the sun again, enjoy conversations again, and feel alive again. So remember, you do not have to be kind to those who poison your mind with endless complaints. True kindness begins with protecting your own spirit. Point 2. The manipulative relative. They exploit your kindness for their benefit. Family is meant to be a source of love, warmth, and support, but not every relative has your best interests at heart. In old age, when you are more vulnerable, there is a type of person you must be very careful with, the manipulative relative. These are the people who use guilt, flattery, or family ties to control you. They know you value kindness, so they twist that kindness to serve themselves. What manipulative relatives do? Manipulative relatives don't always look like villains. They can smile at you, hug you, and even say, "I love you," but behind those words is a plan. They want your money, they want your property. They want your time and energy, even when you don't have much left. They want to control your decisions, so you put their needs before your own. And here's the truth. Many seniors are taken advantage of not by strangers, but by family, because family knows your weaknesses. They know you fear loneliness. They know you value harmony. They know you want to leave a good legacy. Real-life example. Take the story of Mr. Henry, 82. He had 3 children. One of them, His eldest son constantly visited him. But every visit ended the same way. The son would say things like, "Dad, you know I'm the only one who cares for you. The others don't visit. If you really love me, you'll help me pay my debts. Don't you want to make sure I'm secure when you're gone?" Henry felt guilty. He thought, maybe my son is right. Maybe I should give him more. Over time, he gave away thousands of dollars, signed over part of his land, and even stopped seeing his other children, all because of manipulation. Years later, Henry regretted it. His other children had truly loved him, but he had been blinded by one manipulator who used his kindness as a weapon. Why seniors are vulnerable to manipulation. After 60 or 70, life changes. You may depend more on family for visits, help, or care. And because you don't want to be a burden, you may agree to things you don't like. Manipulative relatives see this and use it against you. They might say, "If you don't help me, I won't come around anymore. After everything I've done for you, you owe me this." Don't you want to leave your inheritance in the right hands? This isn't love. This is exploitation. And every time you give in, you lose not only your money, but also your dignity and peace. The hidden cost of manipulation. Being manipulated drains your spirit. It creates resentment, anxiety, and guilt. You stop enjoying family visits because you expect another demand. You lose sleep worrying about decisions. And worst of all, you may push away good relatives, the ones who actually love you, because the manipulative one tells you lies. This can leave you isolated, stressed, and even financially insecure in your final years. How to protect yourself. Recognize the signs. If every conversation with a relative ends in you giving something, money, time, favors, that's a red flag. Set boundaries. It's okay to say no without guilt. If they push harder, that's proof they weren't asking from love. Keep finances private. Don't reveal your bank details, savings, or property plans to manipulative relatives. Keep control over your assets. Involve neutral support. If you feel pressured, talk to a trusted lawyer, a financial advisor, or another relative you trust. Don't make big decisions under pressure. Test their love. Ask yourself, if you had nothing to give, would this person still? Is it? If the answer is no, then it's not love. A different story. Choosing peace over guilt. Consider Mrs. Evelyn, 79. Her niece constantly asked her for money, saying, "If you really care, you'll help me. Otherwise, you're selfish." Evelyn felt torn until one day she asked herself, "Why do I feel worse every time I see her?" So she tried something new. When her niece asked again, she calmly said, "I love you, but my money is for my health and security." At first, the niece was angry, but Evelyn noticed something. She finally felt free. She spent her time with friends who made her laugh instead of relatives who made her feel guilty. And in her words, "The moment I said no, I realized I was saying yes to myself." The big lesson: in old age, kindness is precious, but it must be given wisely. Being kind to manipulative relatives is not noble, it is dangerous. It drains your peace, empties your pockets, and leaves you bitter. Instead, protect your boundaries. Remember, true family loves you for who you are, not for what you can give. So if a relative tries to twist your kindness into their gain, stop, stand tall. And remind yourself, my peace is more valuable than anyone's manipulation. Point 3. The friend who only calls when they need something, not when you do. Friendship is supposed to be about give and take. A true friend celebrates your joys, stands with you in hard times, and checks in just to say hello. But there is a type of friend you must be cautious of in your later years, the one who only calls when they need something. Who is this one-sided friend? This friend seems warm when they reach out. The phone rings, you smile, and you think, "Ah, someone remembered me." But as soon as the conversation starts, you realize the truth. They need money, they need advice, they need a ride, they need your time. And when you're the one who needs help, silence, no return calls. No visits, no offers of support. This isn't friendship, this is using. Why this hurts seniors more deeply? When you're over 60 or 70, every relationship feels more precious because time is shorter. You want genuine connections, not transactional ones. But one-sided friends exploit that vulnerability. They know you don't want to feel lonely, so they dangle their presence like a gift, but only when it benefits them. Over time, This creates sadness, frustration, and even self-doubt. You may wonder, am I only valuable when I'm useful? Does anyone care for me, or just what I can provide? Real-life example. Let's take the story of Mr. Charles, 74. Charles had a neighbor, Mark, who often called him. But every call had a request. Can you watch my house while I travel? Can you lend me some cash? Can you drive me to the store? Charles always said yes, because he thought, well, at least someone wants to talk to me. But when Charles had surgery and needed help with groceries, he called Mark 3 times. Mark never answered. Weeks later, when Mark needed something again, he suddenly appeared at Charles' door with a smile. That was the moment Charles realized this wasn't friendship, it was convenience. The psychology behind it. People who only reach out when they need something aren't always malicious. Sometimes they are selfish, sometimes they lack emotional awareness. But either way, the result is the same. They drain your time and leave you empty. Psychologists call this a one-way relationship, and here's the danger. The more you give without receiving, the more invisible you become. You're no longer seen as a friend, but as a resource, a wallet, a driver, a favor machine. Why seniors must guard against this? In later life, your time and energy are more valuable than money. You can't waste your limited days being used. Every hour you spend giving to a one-sided friend is an hour stolen from joy, peace, and real companionship. How to recognize this pattern? Ask yourself, do they only call when they need something? Do they ever ask how you are, and truly listen? When you needed help last, were they there? Do you feel lighter or heavier after spending time with them? If the answers show a pattern, it's not friendship. How to protect yourself without guilt? Limit what you give. It's okay to say, I can't help this time. Watch how they respond. A true friend respects your limits. A user becomes angry. Test the relationship. Call them when you don't need anything, just to talk. If they seem uninterested or rush off, that tells you the truth. Replace them with real connections. Join community groups, senior clubs, or activities where people value you for who you are, not what you provide. Value yourself first. Remind yourself, I am not just useful, I am worthy of love and friendship. A different story. Choosing true friendship. Consider Mrs. Anna, 71. She had a childhood friend who always borrowed money, but never returned it. Anna kept forgiving her, but felt emptier each time. One day, Anna joined a local book club. To her surprise, she made new friends who called her not to ask for things, but simply to say, we miss you, want to come over for tea. Anna realized something powerful. I was clinging to an old friend who used me, when the world was offering me new friends who valued me. The big lesson, in old age, you cannot afford one-sided friendships. Every moment is too precious to waste on people who only see you as a tool. If someone only calls when they need something, that's not friendship, that's selfishness. Protect your time. Save your kindness for those who show up when you need them too. Because in the end, true friends don't keep score. They don't just take, they give joy, comfort, laughter, and love. So remember this truth. Kindness should flow both ways. If it doesn't, it's not friendship. Point 4. It's a gossip and troublemaker. They destroy peace in every room. Picture this. You're sitting in a cozy living room, sipping tea with a group of neighbors or relatives. Everyone's talking, laughing, sharing small stories. Then one person leans forward and says, "Did you hear what she did?" You won't believe it. Suddenly, the mood changes. The conversation shifts from joy to suspicion. People lower their voices, some look uncomfortable, but others lean in curiously. By the time the gossip ends, there are bad feelings in the air. This is the power of the gossip and troublemaker. And if you're not careful, being kind to such people in old age can quietly destroy your peace, your relationships, and even your health. Why gossip is more dangerous for seniors? At first, gossip may seem harmless. Some even think it's just chit-chat, but in truth, gossip is poison. It feeds distrust, jealousy, and anxiety. For seniors, it's especially dangerous because you have a smaller circle. If someone gossips within that circle, the damage spreads faster. It isolates you. Once people see you with a gossiper, they may avoid you too, fearing you'll join in. It creates unnecessary stress. And stress at an older age directly affects your heart, blood pressure, and sleep. Being around a gossip is like living next to a leaking pipe. At first, it's a small drip, but over time, it ruins the whole house. Real-life example, let's take the story of Mrs. Linda, 73. She had a neighbor, Carol, who visited daily. Carol always came with news: who was fighting with whom, whose children were failing in school, who was spending too much money. Linda thought it was harmless entertainment. But soon, Linda noticed something. Her mood always sank after Carol left. Worse, other neighbors started avoiding Linda. Why? Because they assumed she was part of Carol's gossip circle. One day, Linda overheard Carol gossiping about her to others. That was the breaking point. She realized, if they gossip with you, they'll gossip about you. Linda gently ended the daily visits, and within months, her peace returned and her real friendships strengthened. The troublemaker side of gossip. Gossipers don't just spread stories, they stir conflict. They may twist your words, exaggerate, or even lie to create drama. Why? Because drama gives them power. It makes them feel important, like they control the flow of information. But here's the truth: a gossip steals your peace while pretending to share it. They build walls between people while pretending to keep you informed. The health impact of gossip. The health impact of gossip. Psychological research shows that gossip creates toxic stress. Your body reacts with higher cortisol, faster heartbeat, and tense muscles. For seniors, that can worsen arthritis, trigger heart problems, or weaken the immune system. So every time you listen kindly to a gossip, you're not just wasting time, you're harming your health. How to recognize a gossip and troublemaker. They always start sentences with, "Don't tell anyone," but they rarely speak about themselves, only about others. They thrive on conflict and secretly enjoy stirring arguments. You feel uneasy after talking to them, like you've swallowed something sour. How to protect yourself without being rude. Don't participate. When they start, change the subject. For example, "Oh, speaking of that, how's your garden doing?" Don't reward them. If they notice you listen eagerly, they'll return. If you look disinterested, they'll move on. Keep your secrets. Never share personal struggles with a gossip. What you tell them today will be everyone's story tomorrow. Choose peaceful company. Replace them with people who talk about books, hobbies, travel, or family. Anything uplifting. A different story. Choosing silence over drama. Consider Mr. Robert, 78. His bowling group had one member who always brought drama. Robert noticed the tension it created, so he made a quiet choice. Every time gossip started, he would simply excuse himself. At first, people wondered why. But soon, Robert became respected as the one who didn't get involved in nonsense, and he noticed something. People trusted him more, confided in him more, and enjoyed being around him because he carried peace instead of poison. The big lesson. In old age, you cannot afford unnecessary stress. And gossip is one of the most unnecessary poisons of all. The gossip and troublemaker will pretend they're offering entertainment, but what they're really doing is destroying relationships and stealing joy. So protect yourself. Refuse to be their audience. Choose friends who lift you up instead of dragging you into other people's drama. Because at the end of the day, peace is priceless. And no story, no rumor, no drama is worth trading for your happiness.